Welcome to Lesson 124, Mixed Numbers and Improper Fractions. Today we're going to talk about how to identify mixed numbers, improper fractions, and how to convert mixed numbers to improper fractions and improper fractions to mixed numbers. Okay, first we need to know what is a proper fraction, improper fraction, and a mixed number. A proper fraction is a fraction that is written with a smaller numerator than denominator. So these fractions are written the way that we typically see them. Okay? They are written the correct way in a sense, because proper means correct or the right way, the way you normally see something. An improper fraction then, so if a proper fraction is written with a smaller numerator and bigger denominator, what would you guess an improper fraction would be? If you said a fraction that is written with a larger numerator than denominator, you are correct. So whenever you see a numerator that's bigger than its denominator, you know that this is an improper fraction. Mixed numbers. So when we talk about mixed numbers, when you talk about mix, it means different things put together. So a mixed number is two different types of numbers put together as one. So in this case, a mixed number is a number written with a whole number and a fraction. So for example, you would have a whole number and a fraction. All right, so now let's talk about the pieces of a fraction and what they represent. The numerator, the top number, always tells you how many pieces you have. So on top it tells you how many I have. So in this case, I have 4. The denominator, the bottom number, tells you how many pieces you need to make a whole group. So what this actually means, it's not just 4/9 because it's a 4 on top and a 9 on bottom. It's 4/9 because I have 4 out of the 9 pieces that I need to make a full group. Okay, but what if we throw a whole number in there? What does that tell us? Well, let's take a look at the word here, whole number. Well, if 9 makes a whole group, and this is a whole number, we can put it together that a whole number tells us, okay, so this is the whole number. It's written larger, so the whole number is written as big as the fraction is. So the whole number is written so it's very large, and the fraction is written so the numbers are small, but the fraction is about the same size as the whole number. So this would look like this, 2 and 4/9. What the whole number tells us is how many whole groups we have of the denominator. So this tells me that I have 2 whole groups of 9. So it says, okay, well, you were able to make 2 full groups of 9 each, and then you had 4 left over. So I made 2 full groups, had 4 left over, needed 9 to make a whole group. Make sure that you're writing all of these pieces down in your workbook. Okay, so how many we have. Make sure you're writing everything down, because knowing this, knowing what a fraction is and what each piece represents, is going to help make every step along the way a lot easier for you. All right, so moving on. So if we're going to write a mixed number as an improper fraction, we have to think of what a fraction means, and even when it's improper or a whole number. So even if it is improper, so if I have 12/4, that means I have 12 pieces and I need 4 to make a whole group. So in this case, it's telling me that I have 4 whole groups, I need 6 to make a full group, and I have 5 left over. So how I can do this is I can say, okay, well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I have 4 whole groups of 6. So that's 6, 12, 18, 24. So in order to make those 4 full groups, I had to have 24 pieces. However, I also had 5 left over. Yeah, I was 1 short of making another full group. So this tells me that I have to have 24 pieces. This tells me I have 5 left over, and this tells me I needed 6 to make a whole group. Now the number we needed to make a whole group doesn't change at all. So when you're turning mixed numbers into improper fractions and vice versa, your denominator should always stay the same. Well, let's look at this. If I had 4 whole groups of 6, so I've had 4 groups of 6, how do I use 4 and 6 to get to 24? If you said multiplication, you would be correct. And another way to know that, because this is what the whole number means, it means I have 4 groups of whatever my denominator is. Of means multiply. In math, when you see the word of, it means to multiply. So instead of drawing all of this out and figuring this out and saying, okay, well, I had 24 pieces from my whole number, I had 5 left over, so that gives me a total of 29. So I should have 29 over 6 as my improper fraction. There's an easier way to do this. However, first you need to make sure that you understand this part. Okay, so if you can understand that this means you have 4 groups of 6, I'm actually going to make a copy of this page. All right. So if we understand all of this, we can clear everything that's on here. Okay. And we can say that 4 groups of 6 tells me that I should multiply the denominator times the numerator, and I get 24. And then I should add whatever I get from that with the numerator. So I do 6 times 4 is 24. 24 plus 5 is 29. And my denominator stays the same. Okay, so it's really just a circular process. Multiply, then add. Okay, and we can check our answer. 29 over 6. That is what we got. All right, so now we're doing the opposite though. So now we have this improper fraction and we need to turn it into a mixed number. So we have to think of what this means. This means I have 12 pieces. So I have 12 pieces. And I want groups of 5. Well, if I have 12 pieces and I want groups of 5, I can go like this. I can say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is one group. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's another group of 5, so that's a second group. 11, 12. I can't go any further, but I can see here that I made 2 whole groups, so that's my whole number. I had 2 left over, and my denominator, I still wanted groups of 5. So I had 2 whole groups, so that becomes my whole number. And then I had 2 left over, so that becomes my numerator. And then my denominator stays the same because I don't change the fact that I wanted groups of 5. Now again, I need you to understand that this is how this works. And the process of doing this, what did we actually do here? So we took 12 pieces and we put it into groups of 5. So we took 12 and divided it by 5. If you actually look at a division symbol, it looks like a fraction bar. Except for instead of having numbers on top and bottom, it has dots. That's because a fraction is actually a division problem. So this actually means 12 divided by 5. So if I take my numbers and do the long division, 12 divided by 5, I know 5 goes into 12 two times. I have 2 left over. So this number, what I got, so the whole group set I could make becomes my whole number, which was 2. And then my remainder of 2, because I had a remainder of 2, my remainder of 2 becomes my numerator. And we can go ahead and check our answer. And we should have gotten 2 2/5. All right, so I like to think of improper fractions as like a big-headed person. Too big on top for its little body. So when it's asking you to make an improper fraction, you can think of this silly little guy. And that should help you remember an improper fraction is bigger on top than he is on bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these 3 mixed numbers and we're going to change them into improper fractions. I'll do the first one for you, and then I want you to try the second 2 on your own. Right? So in this case, I take the 3 and multiply it by the 7 because I have 7 groups of 3, and I get 21. And since I had 2 pieces left over, I do 21 plus 2 and I get 23. So my answer should be 23 over 3. If I pull this over here into the land of big-headed people, I see that I got it correct. So what I would like you to do in your notes is I'd like you to take the opportunity to try the second 2 on your own, and when you come back, we'll go over your answer. All right, so 1 4/9, and I'll actually show you this in your notes so you can see what it would look like. I'm fine if you show your work like this and say, I have to do 1 times 9 plus 4. So if you do, I have to do 1 times 9 plus 4, and I get 13 over 9. In this case, I would do 10 times 4 plus 1, so it gave me 40, plus 1 gives me 41 over 4. Again, the most important part is that you understand what the pieces of the fraction mean, so you understand why this works. All right, and now we're going to do a practice doing the opposite. So now we have an improper fraction, or we have a big-headed person, and we are trying to turn it into a mixed number. So I have 36 pieces, and I want 5 in each group. So I know that means I have to use division. So I'm going to do 36. And remember, this means 36 divided by 5. So the top goes inside, the bottom goes outside. So it's kind of like this fraction tipped over. 5 on the outside, 36 on the inside, tipped over and got itself a hat. Okay, I know 5 goes into 36 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. 1. Now remember, this is how many groups of 5 I could make. So I should get 7 whole groups, 1 left over, so this remainder of 1 actually becomes 1/5 because it's 1 out of 5. We can check our work. All right, so now you have these next 3 that I'd like you to try on your own, and when you come back, we'll go over your answers. They're right here, just the top ones. All right, so for 29 over 7, you should have gotten 4 1/7. For the 47 over 9, you should have gotten 5 2/9. And for 51/10, you should have gotten 5 1/10. Now I will quickly show you in your workbook how this would have worked. So I have 29 and I want to put them in groups of 7. So 29 divided by 7 7 on the outside, 29 on the inside. Can make 4 groups of 7. If I make 4 groups of 7, okay, 4 times 7 is 28. I subtract. I get a remainder of 1. So I get 4 and 1/7. Okay, in this case, 9. Or I'm sorry, 9. 5 and 2/9. There we go. And then for the last one, goes in there 5 times, minus 50. Since I have a remainder of 1, it is 5 and 1/10. All right, so what I would like you to do is I would like you to try each of these on your own. So what you're doing is you're changing the mixed numbers into improper fractions, and then you're changing the improper fractions to mixed numbers. Do your best. Make sure to take your quiz on Edmodo, and if you have any questions, please post them to Edmodo so we can go over them in class tomorrow.